System ain't treating them equal, providing truth for our people, we able to reach them. So anytime you get accused for a crime and Lord knows you ain't do it, we here to get you through it, exemplifying prudence and glorifying God, making sure you're compensated for other people's doings. Our vision is to be one of the best. We're small enough to focus on your matter throughout the neighborhoods of Dallas, working constantly and making sure your rights are protected. A firm team of lawyers, aggressive, effective, a team that has your back in the courtroom. Two well-spoken black lawyers in the courtroom, investing time and resources when it's evident that you were treated wrong. Now you walking out of Dallas courtroom with a settlement. Corbin and Corbett, the father-daughter legal tag team that has your back in the courtroom. Our purpose is simple, to obtain a favorable outcome for each client and glorify Christ in all we do.
Hello everybody. Once again, this is Attorney Augustus Corbett. I apologize that I had to cut that first stream short. We were having some technical issues on our end here. I always remind you, this is live television and sometimes things just don't go the way that you expect them. But I got some things that I want to share with you. Some of you are parents of school-aged children and your kids are going back to school. And I don't envy you at all. I would not want to be in your circumstances. My wife and I, we have 2 children and we paid our dues, okay? But we didn't pay our dues during a pandemic. That makes things just so much more, just stressful and demanding and so forth. I talked to a brother yesterday and he said he feels like he's a 4th grade teacher again because he's having to really, fortunately he's working from home so he can provide the kind of support that his son needs, but it is taxing on him. And I mean, he's a father, he knows he has to do what he has to do. He wasn't complaining, but he was just explaining. So I don't envy you all. So I thought I would come on though and just share some simple legal tips with you about your kid being in school during this pandemic. Just 10 simple legal tips with you that I want to give you today, and hopefully this will help you, have a little easier time with all of this, because again, it is a lot. I can only imagine, and I'm glad all I have to do is just imagine right now, because I would not want to be in this situation, but we would do what you all are doing, and that is we would step up to the challenge, okay? Now, the reason why I am talking about this is because I was a school teacher, okay? I was a high school teacher. I taught chemistry, I taught earth science and physics in high school before I became an attorney. And I was pastoring at that time, so I was dual. I had 2 jobs, and so I was pastoring and teaching school full time. So that caused me to really, just take a serious interest in education. So I ended up writing a book. The name of my book is Education and Justice, because I saw, even before I started teaching, but especially after I got into the profession of teaching, I saw the injustice that African American students experience in many public schools, okay? Many public schools. And so I wrote a book from that. It's a great book. I deal with many topics in here: the achievement gap, the ESSA, the home situation, the early years of education, teaching black boys how to value formal education. By the way, the name of the book again is Education and Justice: How Public Schools Fail African American Males, is what it is. And I deal with teachers and how they relate to our black males. I dealt with tracking and black boys. You may not even know what that is, but you need to know. I have a chapter here on school discipline in black boys. I have a chapter in here on special education in black boys, gifted education in black boys, effective schools, what an effective school is, how to know one when you see it. So if you have a black male that's attending public schools, you need to get this book, okay? You need to get this book. You can get it at Amazon. It's both, you can get both hard copies, and you also can get, the ebook. Or you can contact me directly by going to my website, which is www.educationinjustice.com. I mean, how easy is that? It's the same title as the book, educationinjustice.com, and you can order the book straight from our website. Okay? So what I want to do is share with you 10 legal tips about school and COVID-19, just some things to keep in mind as you return your child to school. All right, let's get started. I think everything's going okay with the video and with the sound. All right, here goes. Number one, purchase or upgrade your child's computer system. So let's start there, because a lot of kids are going to be doing a lot of virtual learning. Some school districts are doing in person, but I think a lot are doing the virtual, at least for now. And I guess they'll monitor the situation and decide later on if the kids can come back in the classroom. I know of one teacher who told me they're doing it virtually, but she still has to go to the classroom, okay, to do the virtual education. And that concerns her, because she said there are still a number of kids who are coming to the campus. But, since there's virtual education, your kid's going to need an adequate computer system. Now, I realize that there are a lot of parents who cannot afford to purchase or upgrade their child's computer system. So what I would recommend for you, parents, is I would contact the school, okay? I would contact the school or the school district, okay? Because under federal law, the school district gets funds, okay, gets money from the federal government, and of course it's getting money from the state. And with that money, they are obligated to provide your child a free, high-quality education under the law. And they are therefore required to provide the resources necessary to deliver that free, high-quality education. And due to COVID-19, in order to deliver that free and high-quality education safely, in a way that doesn't, expose people to this virus, is to do a lot of this virtually. And in order to do it virtually, you need a computer system at home, and you need a good computer system. So if you can't afford it, I would really contact the school or the school district, and they have an obligation to provide your child a free, high-quality education. And I would make them aware of that if they acted like they didn't know what you were talking about. Okay? So if you can't afford it, start with the school. That's number one. Number two, check with your internet carrier to ensure that your internet speed has the appropriate upload and the download speeds that are necessary. because I'm sure your kid's going to be uploading stuff to the school system's portal and probably are going to be downloading stuff to the computer to read and etc. So you need to have enough internet speed to accomplish that. So pick up the phone, call your internet carrier, and see if it's adequate, if the upload or download speeds are adequate. Okay, and you should be able to find out what upload or download speeds are adequate, again, by contacting the school, maybe speaking to their technology department or someone at the local school there, and they should tell you what kind of speed you need. All right, number 3, I recommend strongly that you hold a virtual meeting with all of your child's teachers and the child. Okay? And I would do it early. I would do it early in the school year. Don't wait to the middle part of the school year. Don't wait to the latter end of the school year. I would do it now. Just hold a virtual meeting with each teacher. Maybe you can do that with all of them at one time, or maybe you can do that with one teacher at the time, and let them see your face, let them hear your voice, let them feel your interest and passion for your kids. Let me tell you something. When I was teaching school, the kids, the parents who visited me were, look, they got a lot of my attention. I mean, it is what it is. If you let teachers know that you will be gauging what's going on with your child's education, that teacher does not want to be, and to use the young people's expression, that teacher doesn't want any smoke from you. Okay? So that teacher's going to be more responsive to your child. Okay? Now, look, again, my wife and I, we got 2 children. We raised them and saw them through school, and we dealt with some teachers who resented our involvement. Okay? You know, there's this thing that teachers want parents' involvement, but some teachers don't. They resent it. Okay, we've dealt with a couple like that, but we didn't care. We were going to let that teacher know we're in this process. Oh yeah, we're here and we're not going anywhere. And we're going to make sure that our children get what they're supposed to be getting from the education system. So let your presence be felt early. Schedule a virtual meeting with all of your child's teachers. And again, I would recommend that the child be present in that, so everybody's on the same page. In my book, I talk about, the education process is a 3-pronged cord, like the Bible talks about. Parents, teachers, students. Okay? Parents, teachers, students, and they all need to be on the same page. And the way my wife and I approached it was, we held ourselves accountable first and foremost. We made sure we were doing what we needed to do at home and as parents to increase our children's interest and prowess in education. And then we would hold our kids responsible and accountable and have high expectations for them. And then we get to the teacher. Okay, so before we went and started getting on the teacher, we made sure home was the way it was supposed to be first, by first starting with us. But you do definitely need to let those teachers know that you will be involved in the process. It won't be you dropping the kids off the first day and not seeing them again until the end of the year. No. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. What's the old saying? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. Okay? So you need to be involved early and often. Number 4, obtain all the school's policies regarding virtual learning in COVID-19. Most schools have spent the summer planning for this school year and have reduced to writing much of the policies, and I'm sure there are new policies, there are different policies you need to know what those policies are. Okay? You need to know how their policies have changed. You need to be educated about their policies, what they expect from you, what they expect from the children, what expectations they have for themselves. You need to know what those policies are so that you can follow those policies, and so that your child, your son or daughter can follow those policies and get the best out of the school year. All right. Number 5, in addition to knowing the school's policies, you need to check with the governor, go to the governor's website and to your state's education agency's website and get whatever orders or policies they have in place, so that they've have put on their websites with respect to education, COVID-19, so that you have that information in your arsenal as well. You want to be informed. You want to be educated about what is going on. You know, a lot of being able to have legal recourse, a lot of it depends on being informed about what the law is, what the policies and the procedures are. If something goes awry and you have to get, say, a lawyer involved, hopefully that doesn't happen. But if you do, that's the first thing the lawyer is going to ask for. It's going to look to the school policies, going to look to the local policies of the school, going to look to the district policies, going to look to state policies, all of that. That's where we start. Okay? And so make sure you have all of that. Local school policies, district policies, state education agency policies, procedures, the laws, and what, if any, orders the governor has put in place with respect to education. Because you're going to have to try to follow all of that, and you need to be knowledgeable of all of that. All right? Number 6, if your child has an IEP, meet virtually with his teachers about getting it updated for virtual learning and COVID-19. Now, if you don't know what an IEP is, then chances are it doesn't concern you or your child. But if you know what it is, and if you have a child who has an IEP, the first thing that I would do is get with his teachers and make sure that IEP is updated with respect to COVID-19 and with virtual learning. It is critical. You parents who know what IEPs are, you know exactly how critical it is. Okay, so make sure that you meet with his teachers or her teachers, and you all discuss that IEP in light of COVID-19, in light of virtual learning, and so forth, and update it where appropriate. All right. All right. Number 7. Don't sign liability waivers. Don't sign liability waivers. Now, what are liability waivers? They are documents that some schools are requiring parents to sign, and teachers, but parents to sign waiving any liability if the child were to get infected with COVID-19. Okay? So they got teachers signing documents on behalf of their children, waiving liability. In other words, if your child gets COVID-19 while attending school, you have waived your rights to hold them accountable. You have waived your rights to sue them if necessary. Even if they were negligent, even if they weren't following CDC guidelines, you potentially have waived your rights to sue that school, to hold that school accountable. I strongly recommend that you don't do that. If they're insisting that you do that, then the next call I would make if I were you would be to a lawyer. Okay? I would call a lawyer, get a lawyer involved in this before you sign anything. All right? So number 7, don't sign liability waivers is my strong suggestion. All right? Number 8, now you may have done, let me go back to that a minute. You may have done so already and didn't know what you were signing. Okay? So let me broaden it and say it this way. Don't sign anything that you don't know what you're signing, that you don't understand what you're signing. Okay? Because it could be one of these liability waivers and you not even know it. So if you've signed a bunch of stuff already, I will go back now to make sure that you didn't sign a liability waiver. And if you did, then inform the school that you'd like to revoke it and or call an attorney. Okay? That's my recommendation. Number 8, watch over the school year to see whether the school or the teachers for your child is treating your child any different from any other students due to his race. And I'll throw in due to his or her disability. I got liability on the brain. So just be watchful and see if there's any treatment, discrimination type, disparate type treating, mistreating of your child that doesn't feel right, doesn't seem right, and you have a sneaking impression that it might be related to race. Well, it happens all the time. That's why the education department has an office of civil rights, because we know it happens all the time. I document in my book the fact that it happens all the time. Okay? The fact that black males in public schools are treated very, very, very differently. Very differently. So if you have a sneaking impression that that's going on, keep your eyes open. Make the school aware that you are seeing it. And once again, pick up the phone and call an attorney. All right? So keep your eyes and ears open for that possibility. It could happen more so now than in the past because, again, COVID-19 has changed everything. And some schools may just be cutting corners or something. And oftentimes when corners are cut and when school districts are in crunches and so forth, it is the minority children who get the short end of the stick. And your child should not be getting the short end of the stick because of COVID-19. All right? So keep your eyes and ears open for that possibility. Number 9, put your child's safety first and don't allow your child to attend school if it places him or other students at risk. I mean, if your child is running a fever, if your child is got a cough or anything that indicates that he has some sort of bug or potentially COVID-19, then I wouldn't send him to school. You don't want to, send him to school in that condition and potentially risk infecting other kids. You need to pick up the phone and call the doctor. And maybe in some cases 911 and get the kid to the emergency room. And then after that, follow all doctor's instructions. All right? Don't succumb to any pressure by the school system to send your kid to school if your school is doing this in-person education. That is so important because Trump is pushing these schools to reopen. He is pushing these schools to reopen. I mean, has threatened some schools with defunding if they don't reopen in person. And the Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, is right along with him. And some of these local school districts and principals and so forth, they're on board with Trump. So you keep your child's safety first and foremost. Okay? First and foremost, keep your child's safety at the top of the list. A lot of kids since school has started over the past week or two, a lot of kids have already contracted COVID-19. You make sure that that you put your child's safety first. All right. And the last one here is follow all CDC regulations and guidelines and make sure that your child's school is doing the same thing. Now, again, this has to do with if your child has to go back to school in person, you make sure that the school is following all CDC guidelines and regulations, and you make sure that you're doing the same thing. And if you see something that seems to be a violation of the CDC guidelines, write it down. Write it down in a notebook, date it, so that if you need to go back to it, you can go back to it. The exact date, the time, the incident, etc. Keep a record of it, all right, of every instance. Because if you need to go back and try to get some legal recourse because of the school's negligence, again, your lawyer is going to really appreciate the fact that you kept detailed records like that. Dates, times, names, etc. So make sure you're following all CDC guidelines and make sure your child's school is also following all CDC guidelines and regulations. Okay? All right. Those are the 10 things that I wanted to share with you. Didn't take too long. So there it is. I really hope that your kid has, or your kids have, a successful school year despite this horrible pandemic that's out here. I pray that, it just goes well. Goes well for everybody. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be tough, but we've gotten through worse things and we'll get through this. And this, I hope, will help you in that regards. One last plug for my book, okay? One last plug, Education and Justice. You can get it at Amazon as both a hard copy like this or an ebook, or you can contact our website. You can contact me via my website at www.educationinjustice.com. I hope these 10 legal tips gave you some good information. If you need to contact me about any of these issues with respect to your child and you live in the state of Texas, or even if you're outside of the state of Texas, contact us. You can contact our law firm by going to our website. It is www.corbettfirm.com. That is Corbett, Corbett, firm.com. Or you can go to www.augustusgetsjustice.com. Okay? All right. Very good. I hope that I don't have to hear from you because I'm hoping that everything just goes well for you and for your child. All right. Thank you for tuning in. And again, I hope you got something that was beneficial for you and your child. Have a good one.